This is the feedback for the 6.3 test. We're going to look back at the pretest, and we're going to look at some of the mistakes, similar mistakes that people made for these. So particularly with shapes like this with the tiles, people did not really pay attention to the colors. Like, they were okay with the squares because there was only one type for that, so there's like 6 here. But then for these, people just got careless and said, like, there's 8 rectangles here. Or they didn't check carefully on their calculator, so we got 2, take away 6, because these are negative, and then coming up with the wrong answer for this. So just be very careful while you're doing this. So for example, 2x add negative 6, and then they were putting things like 4. So 2 add negative 6 is clearly negative 4, so it should be this answer here. But just be careful with negative numbers. If you're not sure, use a calculator. What is the perimeter of a square with side length 8c squared minus 2? I have a feeling that's a mistake. That question's not supposed to be there. There we go. I'm sorry about that. Students not drawing a grid would be my guess for this. It looked like some people just try to guess these ones. So for each of the questions where you're multiplying a binomial times a binomial, which was pretty much most questions in the third section, just make sure you go ahead and draw the grid. So 2x minus 1, x, and 3. And then you can actually start to fill in that grid, and that might actually be what we have on the next slide here. Oh, that's the next question. So numbers first as we're multiplying, so 2, x times x, 1 add 1 with the exponents would give you x squared. Or you should just know by now these top corners are going to be squared anyway. So some of these didn't even have a squared as the answer there. X times negative 1, numbers first, and then the letter second. 3 times 2, numbers first, and then that letter second. And then 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And what we're supposed to do is add these middle terms together. So 2x squared, 6 add negative 1 is positive 5. So that would be this answer here. And then at the end you can see the negative 3 as well. But any of the numbers you're not sure of, just go ahead and use a calculator. The ones with 2 letters, same thing, draw a grid out, but the common mistake was this bottom one down here. People just did 3 times 3 and got lazy and missed this negative sign here. Perhaps people just put 3b, because I couldn't always tell, but it should be negative 3b and positive 3b. So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, and b times b is b squared. So mainly the difference between those two answers that people got a little careless on. 7y plus 2 all squared. You should just be writing it out 2 times, so across the top, across the bottom, and then as you fill this in, you can obviously work out what we've got here. 49y squared, 14 add 14 is 28, and then we've got the 4 in the corner here as well. Actually, this question was pretty good. There wasn't really any major problems for this one. People drew the grid perfectly well, and most people actually came up with the answer pretty good. One thing I did notice was, this was, let me just check quickly what the correct answer is. The correct answer was this one. People missed a negative sign here, so a times negative 3a on the grid is negative 3a squared, and you had 10a squared here. So if you missed the sign, you did 10a squared plus 3a squared, which was 13a squared, when it was supposed to be 10a squared add negative 3a squared, which would be 7. So once again, some people are just a little guilty of using a calculator, but that question was done really well compared to previous years. This last one, this was actually split into 3 parts on the actual test that we did. You had to find the area of shape A, the area of shape B, and then you had to find the difference, which means subtract your answer. So basically just draw a grid, make it look like it is up here, 3m and 2, 6m minus 1, and then just do like the whole thing you've been doing for the whole lesson so far, or this whole test so far. Do the same with this one, just work out what it is, distribute, and then this part here, the difference. After you did these 2 questions, they gave you the answer to this one and this one, which is why you couldn't go back in the test. But then to do the difference, too many people, once again, added the terms together. So like 6m times 3m, you can see we've got 18m squared here. If I was to draw this grid here, 3m times 2m would give me 6m squared. Whoops. And then some people just took these 18m squared and this 6m squared and go, oh, 24m squared, there we go, I found the answer. Except difference means subtract, so 18m squared take away 6m squared is actually 12m squared. So that difference, it was a problem in 6.1, and it was also a problem in 6.3. So make sure you know those vocabulary words. If it was to say sum for any reason, then make sure that you add as well. That's the feedback for 6.3. Mainly this section was drawing the grids and was probably one of the better sections, I would say, of the three tests. But if you need to retake it, that would be the main piece of advice.